The first details of the city's Squeegee plan revealed. Fox 45 is pressing the mayor on how he plans to implement the possible response to Squeegee kids. A lawsuit against Baltimore City schools moving forward. Why a prominent civil rights attorney is backing the suit that could have national implications.
And we're off to a milder start this morning, and that means a warmer weekend coming up. I'll show you where our temperatures are headed this weekend and when we could see some showers in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
And good morning to you. It is a foggy start to your Saturday. This is a live look over Towson. I guess you would see it if it was less foggy out there, but thank you for joining us here this Saturday. It's November 5th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Now, today, I'm hoping we do not have to bundle up because we're expecting some really good weather this Saturday. Meteorologist Amy Aronson with a breakdown of what we could see.
Yeah, you can give the jacket a break this weekend. We are starting off much milder even this morning. Temperatures are running about 10 to 15 degrees above where they were at this time yesterday, and that puts us in the low 60s to start things off. Yes, we are tracking some fog and some low clouds, and that's the reason for the milder temperatures. So just be prepared for that if you're trying to squeeze in a jog or run or just a walk this morning. It will be comfortable out there, especially for the next couple of hours with temperatures hanging out in the mid and upper 60s. Now, coming up in 10 minutes, I will walk you through your temperature timeline hour by hour for the rest of the weekend and show you when we could also see some showers. Taylor?
All right, in the city in crisis, our top story this morning, paying Squeegee kids to get them off the streets. Now, that is just a part of the recommendation laid out by the city's Squeegee Collaborative. Mayor Brandon Scott is expected to announce the full recommendation very soon. Now, we started hearing about confrontations with Squeegee kids way back in January. Since then, the situation has seemingly spiraled, making it dangerous for drivers and Squeegee kids themselves. On the bottom left here, you can see police have accused Emil Dixon of kidnapping 3 Squeegee kids and shooting 2 of them after he says his mother fell victim to a scam. And then on the bottom right, Tim Reynolds. He was killed after a violent interaction with Squeegee kids back in July. We still don't know the entire plan from Baltimore Squeegee Collaborative. Fox 45 has learned one aspect will be paying kids to stop squeegeeing. Mackenzie Frost has more on the city's potential response.
After hearing about some of the details, I spoke with the mayor's office Thursday night, confirming some aspects of the Squeegee Collaborative's recommendations. Now, the mayor refusing to talk about the plan, and we're already seeing some pushback from some members inside City Hall. How City Hall will handle Baltimore's Squeegee Kid issue could become clear. Fox 45 News confirming portions of the entire plan that will be released in full next week. After confirming information previously reported, the mayor's office saying there will likely be Squeegee Kids will come up with a code of conduct and self-regulate, a designated enforcement zone, and guaranteed income for Squeegee Kids not to squeegee. Now, Mayor Brandon Scott is refusing to say anything.
Well, when I release the Squeegee Collaborative is when I go talk about the Squeegee Collaborative, and we're going to do that for you guys very soon.
One portion specifically remains in question. How will the city ensure Squeegee kids who are getting money not to squeegee stay off the corners? It's a question I tried to ask the mayor, but I got interrupted. Mayor Scott, how do you plan to delineate, I guess, the Squeegee kids?
I'm going to delineate by telling you when we put out the strategy, as we just talked about before. You're not going to get a different answer. We have a process. We're sticking to it. Watch your back. Don't walk into the truck.
If you have a process, why was it leaked to WBAL?
See you later.
And the mayor whisked off by his security detail without answering. Thursday, Fox 45 News sending questions about the squeegee details to Baltimore City Council, asking, do you support the plan? Why should we pay people who break the law? If a squeegee kid commits an act of violence, will they have to give the money back? Councilman Isaac Yitzi Schleifer, the lone response, telling Fox 45 News in a statement, quote, any proposal to pay people not to break the law is a slap in the face to the 99% of the people in our city who follow the law. Meanwhile, crimes continue to take place at intersections.
I never thought that he would grab my wallet and run like a little punk.
A neighbor speaking with Fox 45 News this week after squeegee kids were in a nearby basement hiding from police.
I don't think that it's something that's appropriate to continue to take place.
Those kids later arrested, charged with larceny and unarmed robbery after the victim says those Squeegee kids stole their phone and cash apped themselves money. The Squeegee kids remain on the corners and police continue to sit and watch. Mayor Bennett Scott keeping quiet about how his administration will find a solution. The mayor's office making it a point to say that the full details of the Squeegee Collaborative's recommendations have yet to be announced. The mayor's office also saying that when it is released, it'll be sometime next week after the election. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Today at 12:30, the mayor will attend the grand opening of the Affordable Housing and Sojourner Place at Oliver. Fox 45 News will also be there, and we will again press the mayor for answers. Fox 45 News reached out to the presumed city state's attorney, Ivan Bates, about the recommendation from the Squeegee Collaborative. His campaign sent us this response that reads, quote, Ivan has a scheduled date to be briefed by the administration. All comments or statements will come after the briefing. Bates and the mayor previously disagreed on the Squeegee policy. You can find more on this approach to the crisis on foxbaltimore.com.
If you graduate without a quality education, then you're already in prison. They just haven't slammed the jail cell door on you.
Prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump sits down exclusively with Fox 45 News to discuss his fight for a better education for students here in Baltimore. Now, Crump is part of a lawsuit accusing city schools of misusing taxpayer dollars, and his team scored a big win this week. A judge rejected a request from Baltimore City School and the school system to dismiss the charges and the lawsuit, meaning the school could go under oath. Joining us live in the studio right now this morning, Giovanni Patterson, Baltimore City resident. You've been here for quite some time. You and your wife are plaintiffs on this lawsuit. What does this big win mean for you guys this week?
Well, the key thing is that the case will get to move forward. And we get to start going into the discovery phase, which will be able to kind of peel back some of the layers. So my attorney will be, issuing some subpoenas or, sending out some notices here. So the case just gets to move forward and we get to start peeling back the layers. And the people of Baltimore get to start seeing what's happening, in the school system.
And when you think about this and your children going forward, how do you foresee this could shift the way we look at the school system here? I mean, this is the first time we've heard Ben Crump is coming on to this lawsuit. We learned that earlier in August. And now to see it's actually being moving forward through the court system, you have to have a sense of ownership of this fight.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, the people of Baltimore deserve to know what's going on within the education system. Baltimore is also known as the city of first, and we should be first in education. So we should know and be able to see what's going on in our school system. I mean, the previous story with the Squeegee kids, our mission should not be just to pay Squeegee kids. We want to see the greatness that our city has. Like, what would happen? What would our city look like if our primary community discussions are which side of town produces the best doctors, lawyers, entertainers, artists, musicians, all the things that we know that are here in Baltimore City. But those things start with the quality education, and peeling back the layers in this lawsuit, exposing that will give Baltimore and our country a chance to see how great Baltimore can be.
And Giovanni, you raised an interesting point about the relationship between education and even the Squeegee crisis we're seeing here on the streets in Baltimore. When you think about using taxpayer dollars to give money to folks to help them avoid crime, what is your take from that initial development or learning from the collaborative?
Well, to be honest, I don't know what to say about that. And when it comes to taxpayer dollars, I mean, taxpayer dollars are being used to cover up and to hide what's going on in Baltimore City schools. So again, with this lawsuit, we're going to be able to peel back the layers and find out what's really going on.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep you guys updated as the suit moves forward. Thank you, Giovanni.
Thank you.
Gunfire at a Prince George's County grocery store. Why police say a security guard exchanged fire with a customer. The deadly result coming up.
And if leak breaking is on your things to do this weekend, today's going to be a little breezy, but I'm still giving it the green light. green light through Sunday and Monday. But come Tuesday, it's going to turn cool and pretty windy. So I'd hold off at that point. Maybe knock it out before that point. Now, coming up in a couple of minutes, I'll let you know why we are tracking that big change in temperatures come Tuesday. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. It's 7:09. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Happening today, the much anticipated Fells Point Fun Festival happening downtown today. That Fun Fest was rescheduled twice. It usually takes place in early October, but it had to be rescheduled first because of the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. And then it was moved to this weekend because Baltimore police said they did not have the staff or resources to support the festival on Halloween weekend. The celebrations today start at 11 a.m. this morning and go until 9 o'clock tonight. Accused of 26 crimes since August, how police caught the group of men they're convinced are behind a string of ATM robberies.
Fruity flavors, easy to hide. I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. The rise in vaping among teens and the new numbers doctors are warning about.
In today's Addicted America segment, a new report found that millions of teens use e-cigarettes, and it comes with a dangerous health concern for teens. Angela Brown with the National Desk joins us with the report.
The number is truly stunning. Over 2.5 million middle and high school students admit to vaping, leading some doctors to call vaping an epidemic among American youth. It comes in fun flavors, small enough to hide from your parents and may get your kids hooked. Richard Kinlaw works in a vape store, and many customers are young adults.
It's a way to calm the nerves, per se. It's, quite honestly, it is addicting, and it's a socially acceptable thing.
To get a picture of what's happening, we are breaking down a new report released from the CDC and the FDA. 14% of high school students and 3% of middle school students use e-cigarettes. Dr. Justin Colby from Cedarville University is worried vaping could rewire young brains.
So you have developing minds that are being introduced to nicotine, which can cause damage and can cause issues with irritability, restlessness, it can attention issues, attention disorders.
The report says more than 1 in 4 teens who use e-cigarettes vape every single day. Schools across the country are taking action. For example, the Hazleton School District in Pennsylvania installed vape detectors last year.
They detect levels of THC, they detect low levels of CO2.
We reached out to the CDC's Office on Smoking and Health. They were unable to go on camera, but gave us this statement warning about nicotine exposure and secondhand exposure to e-cigarettes is not harmless, saying it can contain harmful and potentially harmful substances, including nicotine, heavy metals like lead, volatile organic compounds, and cancer-causing agents. Doctors urge parents to talk to their kids now, regardless of age.
These kids are young, their lungs are still developing, and if we are robbing them of the potential to fully develop, then you're going to have a generation of new patients upon us. That's my biggest concern.
Doctors say the health consequences of teens who develop a nicotine addiction are still being studied, along with the long-term impacts of vaping. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Alrighty, let's get over to meteorologist Amy Aronson for a look at our weather today. And Amy, this is going to be a seasonably warm weekend, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's rare for November that we get temperatures this warm. Plus, our fall foliage is now peaking across the region. We just got an update from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, and now much of the Baltimore area is included in that bright red, and that indicates peak fall colors across our region. So a perfect weekend to do a little leaf peeping and check that out. The reason why our leaves change color, especially during this time of year, has to do with something called chlorophyll. Typically, that's what keeps the leaves green. That's the green pigment that you see on the leaves in the spring and during the summertime. But what happens in the fall is we get the sun lower and lower in the sky, so that lower sun angle, plus we get less and less daylight. We're seeing that with later sunrise times and earlier sunset times. So because of that, the chlorophyll production actually starts to shut down. That means we start to see less and less of the green on the leaves, and we see more of the other pigments that finally have a chance to shine through. And that would be the yellows, the oranges, and the pretty reds. And that's currently what we're seeing now across our region. We're also seeing a lot of this. That's the gray. That's the fog that's redeveloping again this morning. Much like yesterday morning, we've got that warm, really moisture-rich air pushing in and taking over, and that's reducing visibilities. Technically, we're looking down at Towson. Can't see much of it this morning. It is mild out there. I think you could get away without a jacket, starting off the day in the low to mid-60s. This is our next weather maker. You can't miss it here on the weather map. It is currently producing some pretty feisty storms from the Gulf Coast all the way up into the Midwest. That is traveling our direction, and that will be our next rain chance. The good news is it's not going to look like this by the time it reaches us tomorrow. It's going to weaken significantly and lose some of its oomph. So if we take a look at what that means for us this weekend, today we're dry. Yes, we'll see more clouds and sun, especially to start. Should see a little bit of clearing later today. As this front reaches us tomorrow morning, reaches us as just a couple of scattered showers. And that will be the case through tomorrow morning. Far from a washout tomorrow. I think we could even see a little bit of sun peek through before that extra early sunset tomorrow evening because of the time change. Today is going to be warm. We make a run for the mid and upper 70s. Same tomorrow. Temperatures are running about 10 to 15 degrees above where they should be. And this warm stretch will take us through Monday. Monday we peak in the upper 60s, but then a quick cool down comes for Election Day on Tuesday, brings us back into the low 60s. Taylor?
All right, that sounds awesome. Now let's check out what Genevieve Gorder has with a look at today's steals and deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
You guys, we have one of the hottest trends from one of your favorite beauty brands and anti-aging brands, Wrinkles Schminkles. Now, every time they come onto the show, and they've been coming on since the very beginning, we sell out. So pay attention because this is a new product. These are their self-dissolving microneedle patches, and here's how they work. You simply peel off the patch, apply with a bit of pressure, and you'll start to see the incredible results. I like to wear these overnight, and they literally melt into your skin. The microneedles are actually crystals on the patch infused with ingredients to plump and hydrate your skin, just like microneedling. A favorite celebrity skin treatment that you can now do at home. Collagen and peptides melt away and infuse deep down into the skin, helping smooth those fine lines and wrinkles, whether it's around your mouth, by your eyes, between your eyes. We all have our areas. Now, most skin treatments sit on top of your skin. The patches work below the surface, and the results come from inside out, into the dermal layers of your skin. We always sell out on Wrinkles Schminkles, so do not wait on this. They come in a pack of 4. Get a few boxes, try them out. Trust me, the results are fantastic. The deal on Wrinkles Schminkles microneedle patches is 25% off. These are a must-have in any beauty routine. Simply go to asadeals.com.
More and more Americans struggling to save for retirement. We'll take a look at the ongoing problem, plus one expert's tips on saving money despite the rising cost of inflation.
A prominent presidential historian sending apocalyptic warnings should Republicans regain control of Congress. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington.
A prominent presidential historian sending a stark warning in the lead up to midterm elections. National correspondent Kayla Gaskin joins us from Washington with more.
In the final days leading up to the midterm election, political messaging growing increasingly dire. Some, like NBC presidential historian Michael Beschloss, sounding nearly apocalyptic should Republicans regain power.
50 years from now, if historians are allowed to write in this country. A historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed.
The dramatic take drawing immediate criticism. George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley tweeting, quote, "So much for gas prices. The choice is now voting Democratic or lining up your children in front of a firing squad." Beschloss echoing President Biden, who claims this election is a struggle for the soul of America.
Extreme MAGA Republicans aim to question not only the legitimacy of past elections, but elections being held now and into the future.
The argument that you shouldn't complain about an election result is really absurd because it's done by both parties.
Democrat Stacey Abrams, for example, refused to accept her 2018 loss for governor of Georgia. In 2019, Hillary Clinton claimed Donald Trump stole the 2016 election from her.
You can run the best campaign, and you can have the election stolen from you.
As Democrats frame Tuesday's election as good versus evil, some suggesting it's a dangerous approach. Journalist Greta Van Susteren writing, quote, "Someone needs to turn down the temp." Now Beschloss is at the stove with his hand on the knob. But heated political rhetoric from both sides is turning into a hallmark of this election cycle.
All they're doing is just bashing everyone else.
And with no sign of fiery voices turning the knob down anytime soon, it may be here to stay. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
All right, he's got 99 problems, but buying the Washington Commanders isn't one. The celebrity now in talks with Jeff Bezos to purchase the controversial football franchise. And we're starting off a little foggy this morning, but this afternoon, we can expect sunny skies and warmer temperatures. Meteorologist Amy Aronson will let you know how long these warm temps will stick around. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Oh, good morning to you. It looks ominous out there. This is the harbor you're looking at. Look at those clouds. The sun He's trying to peek through, but I'm excited to say hello to the sun later today. Thanks for being here this Saturday, September 5th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get right on over to your forecast with meteorologist Amy Aronson. And we're looking for some sunny skies today.
Yeah, eventually. Little bit of sun. I think more clouds than sun today. What we're looking forward to, the warmer temperatures. Temperatures will be running 10 to 15 degrees above what they should be. What we're not looking forward to, the fog that has redeveloped this morning. Our visibility map does not look that bad right now, despite that ominous shot we just saw over the inner harbor. But I would plan on some low clouds plus some fog if you are venturing out early on this Saturday morning. It's mild. You don't need the jacket. Low 60s showing up everywhere right now. And that's just a sign of where these temperatures are headed today. Not going to feel like the first weekend of November. High shooting into the mid-70s today. Completely dry today. Tomorrow, we are going to increase clouds. Plus, we could see a couple of showers, especially during the morning hours. But that's not going to stop our temperatures from warming. We still end up in the mid-70s on Sunday. Coming up in 10 minutes, we will talk more about that rain chance on Sunday. Plus, I'll let you know exactly how long this 70-degree stretch is expected to last. Taylor?
On our top story, in a city in crisis, Fox 45 News is learning the mayor's office says Baltimore City plans to offer cash payments to Squeegee kids in an effort to keep them away from busy intersections. According to the office, Squeegee kids will also come up with their own code of conduct. Baltimore residents have mixed reactions to those proposed changes.
They need to keep them off the streets. They're bad news.
They need money like everybody else. That's the way you survive.
Because I used to Squeegee back in the days, and it was just for change to catch the bus or go to a movie. But nowadays, these kids today, they out for trouble.
I mean, it's good. It's an incentive. It help them, with supplying the things that they need.
Now, former federal prosecutor Tharoon Binarjara will join Fox 45 News at 5. He says he guarantees that Incomes is sending the wrong message to Squeegee kids.
It was not if you commit crimes day in and day out and they're not as bad as other crimes, that at some point the city will start paying you not to commit them. We don't approach any other problem in society this way. I just don't think it's realistic to go to a bar and say, we're going to pay you not to serve underage drinkers. You can come up with your own regulations for how you want to conduct yourself. That's just not the way the world works.
There will be joining us again at 8 a.m. to further discuss the details of this plan. In light of recent incidents involving Squeegee kids and a Cash App scam, Baltimore police are releasing tips to help stop Cash App thefts. Recommendations include not giving Cash App access to anyone you don't know and establishing passcode or facial recognition protections on any payment apps. Fox 45 remains committed to finding the answers at the highest levels of government when it comes to how your tax dollars are being spent. Our commitment to you is constantly questioning city leaders, holding them accountable on the Squeegee kid crisis and other issues facing the city. We promise to continue to ask the tough questions and bring you those answers as we get them. 2 people are dead following a shooting inside of an Oxon Hill grocery store yesterday morning in Prince George's County. Police say a security guard confronted a woman trying to shoplift. She pulled out a gun and shot the guard, who then fired back. The guard was pronounced dead at the store. The woman died later in the hospital.
Just a couple weeks ago, we hosted a large event in this parking lot to try to build on these relationships that we have with the community, and we're asking the community to partner with us even more to try to stop these violent, brazen attacks that are occurring in our shopping centers.
This shooting follows a pair of recent shootings involving security guards here in Baltimore. A security guard shot an alleged shoplifter at the CVS in Harbor East. This was earlier in October. And according to police, another security guard shot a man at a Royal Farms on Washington Boulevard. This happened just this week. Now, new court documents show 3 men are behind bars facing charges for more than 24 incidents in Baltimore. According to court filings, these arrests came after Baltimore County detectives received court permission last month to put a tracking device on a stolen BMW that was tied to previous crimes. The car was being tracked when a series of crimes were allegedly committed Wednesday morning. The crimes documented so far include a stolen car, cash, cigarettes, liquor, and ATMs. An early morning fire happened yesterday morning at Elk Lanes in Elkton. You can see that smoke emitting from the entrance there. Officials say the blaze started in the back of the building in a mechanical room and the fire company took an hour and a half to get it under control. No injuries, thankfully, were reported. An update this morning on Baltimore police say that 12-year-old Seth Porter has been safely located. He was reported missing near the corner of East 21st Street and Greenmont Avenue yesterday afternoon. All right, in your consumer news this morning, a recent survey found that 55% of Americans say they're behind on their retirement savings. Inflation and reduced income are the top two reasons why working Americans say they just can't afford to put more away. This is coming according to the Bank Rate survey. Joining us this morning is Dan White, a personal finance and retirement expert with us this morning. So tell me, Daniel, this is really speaking to how people are not able to stay afloat with this inflation that we've now seen from the pandemic and so many other issues, but it's hitting not only your pockets, but your savings for folks who are trying to make sure they have money going forward. Tell us a little bit about this issue.
Well, inflation is absolutely taking a bite out of everybody's budget. You know, it's been running north of 8% most of the year. And the problem that most people are having is they're saying, hey, I can't afford to put money away. Well, I've been telling people for years that you have to treat your retirement savings, your personal savings, as a bill. You have to literally treat it as a bill. And the most effective way to make sure you don't shortchange yourself is to pay yourself first. So whether it's through 401k contributions or whether you're setting up an automatic withdrawal from your checking account into some type of savings vehicle, if you don't see it, you don't miss it. So you have to set that up so it happens automatically, because if you wait, if you wait to pay all your bills and then save some money, we know 9 times out of 10 there's not going to be anything left.
Well, Dan, we just saw a new report that claims that maybe $1.2 million is necessary to be able to last through retirement. And when you kind of, the rubber meets the road and you're deciding on gas and you're deciding on groceries, it gets hard to save.
It really does. And maybe some things that people can do, what has cropped up, since the pandemic and even before is kind of the gig economy. The part-time jobs, the Uber, the Lyfts. There's plenty of jobs out there, as the federal government will tell you. Unemployment's at an all-time low. But there's plenty of jobs out there. They may not be the job you want, but if people want to pick up a little extra cash, they could do a part-time job in the gig economy. And that might be money that they could set aside for savings and retirement.
And I want to do this really quickly, this last question here about a life insurance policy. If you're a little bit later in life, is it too late to get a good, viable life insurance policy?
I don't think it's ever too late. People tend to procrastinate with life insurance. They put it off to the last possible moment. It's obviously cheaper if you buy it when you're younger. But there are many tax benefits to a life insurance policy as well. If you buy a cash value or what we call a permanent type of plan, you put the money in, the money grows, it's tax deferred inside the plan, and you actually have access to the cash later on in life. And when you pull it out, it's going to be tax free. So it kind of acts sort of like a Roth IRA in that respect.
Great tips there. Thank you so much, Dan White. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Have a great day, Taylor.
Likewise. All right, the Baltimore Ravens are prepping for Monday Night Football. We'll hear what the coaches have to say about the team's new star linebacker.
And it doesn't exactly look or feel like November across the East. Look at all these 60s showing up early this morning. I'll let you know exactly where our high temperatures are headed this weekend in a couple of minutes. It's 7:38. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Making headlines this morning, a Baltimore man is pleading guilty to a felony charge for his role in the Capitol riots. Police say the 41-year-old man was part of a group on the Upper West Plaza of the Capitol, waving other rioters towards police, that line, and before grabbing an officer's riot shield. The man was arrested in March of this year. He'll be sentenced next March. Twitter turmoil. Less than a week after Elon Musk's takeover, dozens of now former employees are joining a class action lawsuit against the company for those mass layoffs. They say Twitter is in violation of the WARN Act, which requires California employers to give their workers at least 60 days of notice before a mass layoff event. Many of them first learned of those layoffs Thursday night, only to find out they lost their jobs Friday morning.
If you're going to police content less, if you're going to moderate content less, you don't need as many staff to do that. It's also a function of what he needs to do, however, because he massively overpaid for this company.
Musk responding to the moves with a tweet saying he has seen a, quote, massive drop in revenue. He blames this on activist groups pressuring advertisers, even though he says nothing has changed with content moderation. Oh, we're falling back this weekend thanks to daylight savings time. Why this could lead to more crashes on the road involving deer. But first, the U.S. Marshal Service is searching for a Baltimore man awaiting a murder trial. What you need to know about the suspect on the run. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. A Baltimore man awaiting trial for murder has gone on the run, committing more crimes. Police say as he eludes capture. Alexa Ashwell has this week's Maryland's Most Wanted.
Investigators say Antonio Bardney should be considered armed and dangerous. He's accused of murder, reportedly cut off his electronic monitor 8 months ago, and according to the U.S. Marshals Service, has continued to commit other crimes here in Baltimore.
March 2022, Baltimore City. Court officials receive an alert. The electronic monitoring device worn by Antonio Bardney had been removed. The 22-year-old, who was on home detention awaiting trial for murder, was gone.
Bardney is accused right now of violation of probation for cutting off his ankle monitor.
Bardney running from what police say happened back in March 2019. Howard County, Maryland. Investigators say Bardney was one of 3 suspects who shot and killed a 26-year-old man outside of an apartment building in Columbia. At the time, court documents show Bardney was wearing another electronic monitoring device for a violent crime in Baltimore City.
Back in 2017, he was arrested for carjacking in Baltimore.
That case remanded to juvenile court back in 2018. A year later, Bardney is arrested and charged with murder. And now 2 years later, he's a fugitive who, according to the U.S. Marshals Service, is continuing to commit crimes as he remains on the run. Specifically, several burglaries here in Baltimore.
We see a lot of violence in this individual, and getting him off the street sooner than later will help protect the citizens of not just the city, but the state.
Matthew Silverman is a chief deputy with the U.S. Marshals Service. He says Bardney is known to frequent Baltimore's Franklin Square and Lexington Terrace and has ties to criminal organizations.
Bardney does have ties to criminal elements, whether it be gangs or other conspiracy organizations. He does have a lot of ties and a lot of people that he can hide with and commit crimes with as well.
Investigators warning Bardney should be considered armed and dangerous.
This individual has obviously showed that he is not scared of going to jail. He's not scared of being arrested. He's not scared of ankle monitoring. And he's going to continue to do these crimes until he is put behind bars.
Take a good look. Bardney stands at about 5'7" and weighs approximately 160 pounds. If you have any information into his whereabouts, you're asked to contact the U.S. Marshals Service. The tip line number right here, 1-877-WANTED-2. Or you can contact agents directly, the number 202-819-5058. Remember, you can always remain anonymous and you could earn a reward. I'm Alexa Ashwell, and this is Maryland's Most Wanted.
And we're mostly wanting some warm weather today, and we're probably going to get what we're looking for, right? Meteorologist Amy Aronson with a look at the forecast, and we see a lot of yellow behind you, record highs. What's going on?
Yeah, we're headed for record territory this weekend. Pretty exciting stuff for the first full weekend of November. I'm forecasting a high in the mid-70s today, puts us not far off from that record of 83 from 1961. Same for tomorrow. The current record for Sunday stands at 80 degrees from 2015. And then on Monday, I don't think we'll have an issue reaching, if not topping that record, forecasting a high of 78, current record at 77 from 2020. We are starting off with some more fog this morning. That's the warm, moisture-rich air that has moved into the area, taking over. You can see some of the low clouds now draped over the inner harbor. We're also off to a really mild start. Low 60s to begin this morning with an easterly wind at 3 miles an hour. Now, I am tracking a couple of changes today. We are tracking a new weather maker that's pushing in from the west. This weather maker produced severe weather across the south yesterday. As it heads our way, fortunately, it's going to weaken. But in advance of that, our winds are going to come in from the south today and really pick up. So it's going to be a breezy, warm day ahead of us, but still dry. Despite the low clouds we're seeing this morning, I think we will see a little bit of sun peek through today, and that's going to help these numbers warm from the 60s to the 70s, mid-70s this afternoon. Tomorrow morning starts off mild again. We're in the mid-60s to begin, but then we throw in that shower chance. That's actually the start of that front pushing through. Not a big rain chance, just a few spotty showers as we head through the morning hours tomorrow, and our temperatures still manage to warm about 10 to 15 degrees above where they should be. And that brings us well into the mid and upper 70s on Sunday. Monday, we squeeze in one more mild day before that cooler air arrives. Temperatures will still manage to make their way well into the 70s before that quick cool down arrives on Tuesday. For today, we are looking at high temperatures well into the 70s. Morning clouds, little bit of afternoon sun ahead of us. Just a perfect start to the weekend. Tonight, sunset coming up at 6:01. Enjoy it because come tomorrow, it's going to be an hour earlier because of the time change. We are looking at a mostly cloudy evening ahead of us, but a very mild one. And here's a look at that time change and what it means for your sunrise, sunset times. Bumps them up an hour. That means sunset on Sunday comes early at 5 o'clock on the dot. But after that, temperatures manage to make their way into the upper 70s again on Monday. Quick little cool down come Tuesday, and then we are looking at a cooler week ahead of us. Taylor?
Remember to set your clocks back an hour this weekend, and when you do, remember to pay attention to the road, because a new study in the Journal of Current Biology finds about 37,000 deer car crashes wouldn't happen if daylight savings was permanent. Adela Uchida from our Sinclair sister station in Austin explains this connection.
It's deer hookup season in central Texas, and unfortunately for deer and drivers alike, that also means it's deer crash season.
Fewer daylight hours and a spike in deer activity during the fall months increase the chances of roadway crashes.
This weekend's time change will make it worse. A new study in the journal Current Biology says collisions with deer increased 16% after the fall time change. But there's another reason for the spike.
The annual time switch that we see twice a year, both times, increases that sleep deprivation. So that sleep deprivation that we might see, that change in our sleep schedule, can result in jet lag-like symptoms.
The cost, $1.2 billion nationwide.
When it comes to how much does a crash cost, when it comes to an animal strike or collision, thousands of dollars.
AAA Texas says it cost Texas drivers plenty, and drivers who responded to my Twitter poll question about it say it cost them anywhere from tens of thousands of dollars to $4,000 to a $1,500 deductible, an unwelcome price tag to a sleepy surprise on the road, but it could be even worse.
According to data from TxDOT, there were more than 9,000 crashes involving animals statewide last year. 220 of those resulted in suspected serious injuries. 26 of them reportedly were deadly.
At St. David's, they're offering up tips to help you get through the time change transition. First, don't take that extra hour you get on Sunday morning for granted.
Mainly what we're seeing during this time is that it's leading to more impaired driving, because drowsy driving is impaired driving.
So make sure you get enough sleep and don't take your eyes off the road, especially in prime deer crash hours right after dark.
And they won't play again until Monday night, but a new Ravens player is already making a good impression in practice. The words of praise from Ravens head coach up next in Sports Unlimited. All right, the Ravens back at practice yesterday, entering week 9 with a slew of injuries, but also some reinforcements and much needed rest. They'll take on the New Orleans Saints in NOLA Monday night, coming off of a win last Thursday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ravens will then have a little bit of a rest with a bye week. Now, while some have to power through knowing a break is in the near future, new star linebacker Roquan Smith is getting brought up to speed. Defensive coordinator Mike McDonald says he's impressed.
It's a lot of concepts he's done in the past, and up to this point, honestly, I'm not surprised. Just knowing from his reputation and knowing people that have worked with him in his past. But Zach's done a great job of getting him up to speed. And then a lot of the guys, give the guys credit too. They're constantly talking about how we're playing things and kind of what things mean and different things here and there.
Smith, the All-Pro acquired at the trade deadline, is expected to play Monday night, along with the return of key starters on defense. The Washington Commanders may be up for sale, and some celebrities could be in the running to buy that team. CNN reporting Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos are in talks to make a bid together. This comes as the team is under federal investigation over questionable business practices. Oh yeah, it's a big day for sports here on Fox 45. First, big noon kickoff takes us to the Big 12 with Texas Tech taking on the undefeated TCU. Coverage begins at 10 a.m. right here on Fox 45. And tonight, it's Game 6 of the World Series as the Houston Astros look to close out the Philadelphia Phillies. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. First pitch just after 8. Again, you can catch all of that action right here on Fox 45. Coming up in our next half hour, a back and forth at City Hall over, you know the issue, the ongoing Squeegee crisis. We'll speak to a former federal prosecutor on what we know about the city's plan thus far. And big decisions at the ballot box will shape your child's education. A closer look at some of the candidates vying for Baltimore County school board positions. You're watching Fox 45 News, all local, all morning.
Coming up this week on Full Measure, one of the world's leading public health agencies is suffering a severe case of credibility crisis in the wake of its misinformation and confusion during COVID and the shutdowns. We investigate calls for an overhaul of the multi-billion-dollar agency, including criticism from a surprising source. The economy is front and center as voters head to the midterm polls. Scott Thuman gives us a look back at other elections when the economy played a huge role and why it's such a pivotal issue now.
Gas, groceries.
And recent political maps show many Republican areas of the nation turning redder and Democrat areas turning bluer.
It's right there.
Lisa Fletcher looks into the big sort, why Americans are geographically sorting themselves according to their political views. That's this week on Full Measure.
The first details of the city's Squeegee plan revealed. Fox 45 is pressing the mayor on how he plans to implement the possible response to kids on street corners. Plus, a former federal prosecutor weighs in on these new developments. On Tuesday, Baltimore County voters will make an important decision about their child's education. Who will lead the local school system? Fox 45's Project Baltimore spoke with those candidates on what they think needs to change.
And we are looking forward to an incredibly warm first weekend of November. I'll explain where our temperatures are headed this weekend and when we could see a few showers in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
And look at that shot. Gorgeous there. A little ominous, but we see those clouds and the sun peeking through here. Thanks for being here with us on this Saturday, November 5th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Now, you just heard Amy say we could see some warm temperatures today. Let's get right over to your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, good morning.
Good morning, Taylor. Already our temperatures are up 10 to 15 degrees from this time yesterday. And if you're wondering where does that put us this morning, low 60s. You can get away without a jacket as you step out for a jog or run this morning. Feels fantastic out there. It is a little cloudy, a little foggy to begin. We are looking at low clouds this morning, but by this afternoon, I think we should see a little bit of sun peek through, and that's going to warm our temperatures up. We'll climb from the 60s into the 70s today. And this is just the start, really, of this warm stretch. Coming up in 10 minutes, I'll let you know exactly how long it lasts and what brings it to an end. That's coming up in 10 minutes. Taylor?
All right, our top story this morning in a city in crisis. Paying Squeegee kids to stop roaming the streets. Fox 45 is learning the first details about the Squeegee Collaborative's plan to address the issue. Mayor Brandon Scott is expected to announce the full recommendation soon. And we first started hearing about confrontations with Squeegee kids back in January. Since then, the situation has seemingly spiraled and made it dangerous for not only drivers, but Squeegee kids themselves. On the bottom left, police accused Jamil Dixon of kidnapping 3 Squeegee kids and shooting 2 of them after he says his mother fell victim to a Squeegee scam. And then there on your bottom right, you've got Tim Reynolds, who was killed in July after a violent interaction with Squeegee kids. While we still don't know the entire plan from Baltimore Squeegee Collaborative, we have learned one aspect will be paying Squeegee kids to stop squeegeeing. Mackenzie Frost has more on the city's potential response.
After hearing about some of the details, I spoke with the mayor's office Thursday night, confirming some aspects of the Squeegee Collaborative's recommendations. Now, the mayor refusing to talk about the plan, and we're already seeing some pushback from some members inside City Hall. How City Hall will handle Baltimore's Squeegee Kid issue could become clear. Fox 45 News confirming portions of the entire plan that will be released in full next week. After confirming information previously reported, the mayor's office saying there will likely be Squeegee Kids will come up with a code of conduct and self-regulate, a designated enforcement zone, and guaranteed income for Squeegee Kids not to squeegee. Now, Mayor Brandon Scott is refusing to say anything.
When I release the Squeegee Collaborative is when I go talk about the Squeegee Collaborative, and we're going to do that for you guys very soon.
One portion specifically remains in question. How will the city ensure Squeegee kids who are getting money not to squeegee stay off the corners? It's a question I tried to ask the mayor, but I got interrupted. Mayor Scott, how do you plan to delineate, I guess, the Squeegee kids?
I'm going to delineate by telling you when we put out the strategy, as we just talked about before. You're not going to get a different answer. We have a process. We're sticking to it. Watch your back. Don't walk into the truck.
If you have a process, why was it leaked to WBAL?
See you later.
And the mayor whisked off by his security detail without answering. Thursday, Fox 45 News sending questions about the squeegee details to Baltimore City Council, asking, do you support the plan? Why should we pay people who break the law? If a squeegee kid commits an act of violence, will they have to give the money back? Councilman Isaac Yitzi Schleifer, the lone response, telling Fox 45 News in a statement, quote, any proposal to pay people not to break the law is a slap in the face to the 99% of the people in our city who follow the law. Meanwhile, crimes continue to take place at intersections.
I never thought that he would grab my wallet and run like a little punk.
A neighbor speaking with Fox 45 News this week after squeegee kids were in a nearby basement hiding from police.
I don't think that it's something that's appropriate to continue to take place.
Those kids later arrested, charged with larceny and unarmed robbery after the victim says those squeegee kids stole their phone and cash apped themselves money. The squeegee kids remain on the corners and police continue to sit and watch. Mayor Brandon Scott keeping quiet about how his administration will find a solution.
The mayor's office making it a point to say that the full details of the Squeegee Collaborative's recommendations have yet to be announced. The mayor's office also saying that when it is released, it'll be sometime next week after the election. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Today at 12:30, the mayor will attend the grand opening of the Affordable Housing and Sojourner Place at Oliver. We'll be in attendance, and again, we'll press the mayor and try to get some answers. This morning, I'm joined by former federal prosecutor Thiru Vignarajah. I swear I know it. It's a mouthful, but I'm going to get it. We want to discuss what we know so far about the mayor's plan. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, previously, you stated that we missed the mark so far in giving young people money to encourage them to stop squeegeeing. Could you tell us more about that statement?
Look, we all want the squeegee boys off the corners for their sake, for the motorists' sake, for the city's sake. This doesn't seem like a serious solution. And if it works, God, I'll be the first one to admit that it was worth trying this. But we should be treating these kids like they're our own. And none of us as parents would ever turn around if we found our kid learning out that our kid was committing crimes and saying, you know what, we're going to pay you to not commit crimes. That's just not a sustainable model, and it's not how you treat kids with respect.
How do you think we should solve this problem?
Look, there's some of these kids that are desperate for opportunities and for jobs. We should be pairing them with a work career model that works for them, that gives them the skills and fits their aspirations. Some of these kids are not squeegee boys, they're squeegee men. They're victims of addiction, and they need to be connected with services. And some of them are going to only respond to enforcement. We've got laws on the book. We have to honor our job as stewards of the city and make sure we enforce the law.
Now, we reported on the disagreement between Mayor Brandon Scott and the incoming city state attorney, Ivan Bates. Bates saying when a person steps into the street to squeegee, it becomes illegal. And as a prosecutor, he says he's going to go about, pursuing that in court. What do you think that could change in this aspect? I mean, we're still waiting for those recommendations, but he's made it pretty clear that he intends to follow the laws that are on the books.
Look, on this one, Mr. Bates is 100% right. There is no constitutional barrier to enforcing the law against people that are darting in and out of traffic, that are touching other people's vehicles. There's lots of laws on the book. None of them have ever been challenged or struck down as unconstitutional. And Mr. Bates has obviously got to do his job. I think he said that the squeegee boys would be off the corners within 60 days. If the mayor and the police force aren't willing to do their part, there are alternatives, right? The Maryland State Police have jurisdiction over those corners. The sheriff's office in Baltimore City has jurisdiction in Baltimore City to enforce the law. They're not the only game in town. Obviously, this is the police department's job. The mayor has claimed that he's going to take this, and they've suggested that enforcement is a part of the solution. But if they don't do that, there are other law enforcement partners that the state's attorney can turn to. But one way or the other, another tragedy is going to unfold unless we get these young men off the corners.
Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate you weighing in on this again today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Project Baltimore speaks to the candidates running for Baltimore County School Board, their opinions on critical race theory and their approach to transparency in the county school system.
And here's a look at our next weather maker. I'll explain exactly when this arrives here and what it means for your weekend plans in a couple of minutes. It's 8:09. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
In your consumer news, expensive Thanksgiving turkey may change the beloved feast altogether. A recent survey by Personal Capital found that 1 in 5 Americans doubt they'll be able to cover the high cost of traditional turkeys this Thanksgiving. Pizza, soup, and salad might be the meal of choice among Gen Z demographic. According to a Wells Fargo report, turkey prices alone will be up as much as 23% this year. Now, Nike has suspended its relationship with Brooklyn Nets point guard Kyrie Irving. This comes after Irving tweeted a link to a documentary that has been criticized for being anti-Semitic and then defended his decision to do so. The Nets have also suspended Irving for at least 5 games without pay. Hours after that announcement, he posted an apology on social media. Rihanna facing some backlash days before her newest fashion show. Why a controversial celebrity could drive viewers away from Rihanna's latest project. But first, we're hearing from the candidates vying for your vote for Baltimore County School Board. What they say needs to change to help student performance in schools. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Project Baltimore is sponsored by the Snyder Law Group. Call 410 the firm.
Come Tuesday, voters have many important decisions to make, including who will lead their local school system. In Baltimore County, 7 new school board members will be elected. Project Baltimore's Crip Pabst spoke with those candidates about some of the most pressing issues in the district: student performance, curriculum, and transparency.
The Baltimore County Board of School Commissioners has 12 members. On November 8th, voters will elect 7. The others are appointed. 3 of the candidates are running unopposed. Project Baltimore reached out to the other 8 who are fighting for your votes. 5 agreed to an interview. These 5 candidates running for Baltimore County School Board all agree BCPS needs to do a better job educating students.
We have to improve student performance across the board.
And we have to reward teachers that are thriving.
Project Baltimore analyzed state test scores from 2019, the year before COVID. The number of Baltimore County students proficient in English in every grade level was down compared to 2015. The number of 3rd graders proficient in English was down from 42% to 37%. 10th grade English proficiency was down from 39% to 33%.
Not everybody learns the same way.
Our job needs to be to prepare all students to succeed.
I think diversity is key.
Dr. Brenda Savoy and Samay Singh Kindra are both running in the 4th District. Savoy spent 36 years in education as a teacher and administrator. Kindra is a law student and graduate of Baltimore County schools. To improve student performance, both agree the curriculum needs to be racially diversified. They both embrace what's known as critical race theory, the concept that racism is a social construct embedded in our laws.
I think that the curriculum should be inclusive of all children. If they can see themselves in the curriculum, they might do better.
So it's on us to make sure that the curriculum and the policies we're putting forth are including all students, are making all students feel included in their education, and exciting them about the opportunity to learn.
Corey Coons, a small business owner, and Robin Harvey, a social worker, are running against each other in District 1. Coons says the first priority is to control the fighting and violence that's disrupting classrooms.
Kids are not going to buy into learning if they're afraid or they don't care.
Harvey says BCPS needs to focus more on having highly qualified teachers, especially in core subjects.
It's difficult to improve student performance when you have long-term subs, when you have people who are teaching classes that they aren't really trained in to teach.
The 5th candidate we spoke with was Maggie Domanowski, a businesswoman and mother of 3 Baltimore County students. She's running in District 3. Her opponent did not agree to an interview. Domanowski says we need to trust our teachers to teach our kids instead of paying outside consultants to micromanage curriculum.
If we could come together with our teachers, bring them in, ask them what they find that's working in their classrooms and implement that all over and see how that works.
We also asked candidates about transparency.
I will make myself available.
This was Superintendent Dr. Darrell Williams on July 1st, 2019. His first day on the job.
I'll make sure our cabinet members, if I'm not, that we have a spokesperson on behalf of the superintendent.
Despite those words, that interview remains the only interview Dr. Williams has ever granted Project Baltimore, even though since 2019, our reporting has uncovered serious concerns in his district. A sex offender attending Parkville High School, school buses passing inspection with broken parts, financial documents shredded during a financial audit. Yet through all of it, Dr. Williams has refused to interview with Project Baltimore. Do you believe in transparency?
Absolutely.
I do, yes.
If you are elected to the school board, will you make yourself available to the media?
I will make myself available to the public.
If it is something I'm familiar with, yes.
Absolutely.
There should be no secrets. It should be transparent, clear as glass. You can see everything.
So the board has to be communicating and collaborating with all stakeholders.
I'm a parent, and education should be a straightforward and simple thing.
I am a public servant.
I wanted to see our kids put first, and I wanted to see our parents' concerns and questions answered.
We also asked the candidates about school violence and if Superintendent Dr. Darrell Williams' contract should be renewed when it comes due in June. That story first aired last week. You can find their answers on our website, foxbaltimore.com. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Alrighty, I came in this morning, Amy, and it was a little bit foggy, but I did notice I didn't need that really big jacket today.
Yeah, you don't even need a jacket at all. Low 60s to start. Pretty incredible considering we are in the first weekend of November now. Feels great out there despite the fog. And what we're also seeing, the pretty fall colors. I just got an update from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, and they are saying that we're now officially at peak here in Baltimore. And that's the bright red you're seeing here on the map. Western parts of the state actually officially past peak already. We're also starting off with lots of gray. You can't really see the fall foliage in the distance here because of that fog has developed and reduced visibilities a little bit this morning. That's all that warm, moist air pushing into the area. Temperatures are off to a really comfortable start. Low and mid 60s to begin the weekend. And that's just a sign of where these numbers are headed. In advance of this weather maker, temperatures are going to be warming today. Winds are also going to be picking up from the south. They could gust as high as 20, 25 miles an hour. And this front is eventually headed our direction. The good news is it's not going to look like this by the time it reaches us. It's going to weaken and fall apart and just reach us actually as a couple of showers. And not even today. Today's dry. Despite the fog and the low clouds you're seeing this morning, we should see a little bit of clearing this afternoon, making way for some sun. But here comes that front charging eastward, sending us some scattered showers tomorrow morning. I think most of the showers come through right around daybreak through about 10 a.m. After that, just mostly cloudy for the remainder of the day and still very warm before that cooler air arrives early next week. Enjoy the 70s. Temperatures are running 10 to 15 degrees above average both today and again tomorrow. We should end up in the mid to upper 70s both weekend days. And we also have the end of daylight saving time this weekend. So for today example, sunset's coming up at 6:01 p.m. But remember, we turn our clocks back 1 hour before going to bed tonight. And although that means that bonus hour of sleep, it also means sunrise is coming up at 6:39 tomorrow morning and then sunset extra early right around 5 o'clock Sunday evening. Not exactly going to feel like fall over the next couple of days. We'll make our way into the mid-70s both today and tomorrow. I did throw that chance in for a few showers early Sunday. Monday, even warmer. We end up in the upper 70s. For Election Day, that's when that cooler air arrives behind that front. We're back in the breezy low 60s. You'll need your jacket then, and you'll need your jacket for the rest of the week, actually. Temperatures are much more seasonable. Wednesday, the coolest day out of the next 7. Looks like temperatures will actually be warming again as we head through week's end, but rain chances will also be on the rise, with our next best chance for rain holding off until next Friday. Taylor?
Alrighty, let's get to a little bit of trending. HBO has pulled the plug on its acclaimed science fiction series drama, Westworld. The cancellation is unexpected as the show has been one of the premium cable's best assets. The show's creator had previously expressed a desire for a 5th season to wrap up existing storylines. Now, fans are hoping that, like Deadwood, another popular HBO series that was canceled, Westworld will get some movie reboots. We'll have to see. A megastar, though, pairing is landing 2 big names in some hot water. Pop singer Rihanna's 4th Savage X Fenty fashion show airs next week, and Johnny Depp will be a part of that. It sparked a lot of backlash on social media. Depp will be the first male to be part of this show. Stars moments with Cindy Crawford, Erykah Badu, Taraji P. Henson all participating in those past fashion events. Fans want Depp out of the show because of his high-profile defamation trial with his former wife and actress Amber Heard. Depp has reportedly filed his part for the show already, so it's now up to editors to see if they will cut his part out of the final cut. Hollywood has honored some of hip-hop's iconic girl groups, and all I have to say is it's about time. It's about time. Salt and Pepper pushed it real good on the Hollywood Walk of Fame to receive a star on Friday. The all-girl rap group had a slew of hit songs in the 80s and 90s, including Push It and What a Man. They were also the first female MCs, along with Queen Latifah, to win a Grammy and still have the best-selling album of all time by any female rap artist. Stay with Fox 45 Morning News. After the break, we'll take a look at your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson has your exclusive 7-day just ahead.
8:27 on this Saturday morning. Started off with some fog. Looks like the sun is starting to take over right now. Looking much better as we head into the weekend. And man, it's going to feel amazing out there, Taylor. I know you came from Florida. It's almost going to feel like that today. This is a treat for us in November. We normally don't see temperatures this warm. What? 70s. I know, mid-70s today and tomorrow. Remember, we also fall back this weekend, so if you're not confused by the temperatures, that might throw you off. Basically, you want to turn your clocks back 1 hour before going to bed. I know cell phones do it automatically these days, but it's also a good reminder to just swap out the batteries and your smoke detectors and stuff like that in your home, too. It also means sunrise is an hour earlier tomorrow. Sun sets at 5 o'clock on Sunday. It's always a tough transition when it gets dark.
Yeah, it gets darker earlier.
That early. And it's going to be a little overcast tomorrow with a few showers. Not a washout. You can still enjoy the mid-70s. Monday, warmest day of the stretch. I think we will set a new record with a high close to 78, almost 80 degrees on Monday. Just incredible. And then we've got Election Day on Tuesday. I would break out the jackets then, low 60s, and it's going to be a little breezy. I think Wednesday's the coolest day out of the next 7 because if you look at Thursday and Friday, we're actually warming right back up. The only problem is by the end of the week, I think we are tracking the potential for some rain with that warm up.
I mean, but I'll take the uppers. Like 70s? Are you kidding me?
I know. Looks beautiful, and fall foliage is peaking, so enjoy that too this weekend.
Beautiful colors, night sun. Have a great Saturday.